reasons. One was an immediate thing, that is to say, the Arab-Israeli War of 1973.
Edward Said challenged the concept of Orientalism, or the difference between the East and the West. He states that as Europeans began to colonize the world, they came in contact with less developed countries in the East. They established the science of Orientalism, which is the study of Orientals, the people from exotic civilizations. He claims that Europeans created artificial boundaries between the West and the East. In this boundary, the people from each side had different attributes. The Europeans defined themselves as superior, in order to justify colonization, and the Orientals as lesser. They attributed a stereotypical generalized view of people from the Middle East. Unfortunately, this concept has influenced scientific reports and the media, therefore, creating a bias that the Arabs were uncivilized and Islam was a religion of the terrorists. Barbarians sacked the Roman Empire. The Hun soldiers raided a number of major economic centers in Europe. This would lead to the degradation of political, economic, military, and social institutions. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe fell into the Dark Ages. The eastern half of the Roman Empire, based at Constantinople, remained. However, it would be at war with the new emerging Muslim powers in the region from 600 to 1400. Meanwhile, this caused a power vacuum in the Middle East. In turn, this allowed the Islamic Empire to rise. The nearby Persian Empire was also weak, and was soon incorporated into the Arab and Muslim empires. In 600, Muhammad formed a new religion in the Middle East. The Islamic religion contributes to principles such as equality, unity, and social justice. These concepts are not only embodied in Muhammad's teachings, but also in the pilgrimage to Mecca, near Baghdad. Every year, thousands of Muslims travel to Mecca, which results in large amounts of trade and the exchange of ideas. Being the bridge between Asia and the Middle East, a cultural unification was established in this religious center. This allowed for wealth and trade routes across Asia. It eventually unified the Arab tribes into one nation, first under the Umayyads and then the Abbasids. This cultural unification also opened Europeans to global interaction with the rest of the world, which had been in the Dark Ages for centuries. In 750, Baghdad became the new capital of the Islamic world. Under the Abbasid Empire, the Islamic Golden Age started in 800. House of Wisdom in Baghdad was an intellectual center where Muslim scholars made breakthroughs in medicine, science, philosophy and mathematics. Thousands of texts from around the globe were collected and translated into Arabic. The Christian Church rejected the works of Greek philosophers, scientists, and great thinkers. However, these books provided no contradiction against the Islamic religion and laws. The Muslim culture during the Golden Age of Islam embraced knowledge, while libraries in Baghdad and Cordoba provided a center for learning. As a result of accumulating knowledge from many civilizations, Islamic mathematics and engineering began to flourish. Paper used for the translation of books were made in mills in Baghdad, but the idea originated from China. The Hindu number system from India was adopted and translated into Arabic. The application of the new counting system to Babylonian concepts resulted in the development of algebra. Subsequently, Muslim scientists were able to apply these concepts to engineering and medicine. The hour, minute, and second timekeeping system from Egypt was combined with mechanical engineering to construct the first clock. On the other hand, people who studied medicine were able to observe that sick people needed to be quarantined and treated, and they developed the concept of germs. These findings led to the first hospitals. Al-Biruni was a philosopher, astronomer, mathematician, pharmacologist, and botanist who translated Euclid's work into Sanskrit. He also calculated the radius of the Earth's surface. Al-Biruni was not alone. Muslim scholars made incredible discoveries in mathematics, including the development of algebra and improvements in astronomy and geometry. Greek mathematics introduced the combination of geometry and algebra, which was significant to architecture at the time. Another aspect of the Islamic Golden Age was their influence on music in Spain. Perhaps the biggest contributor was Zirayab, Blackbird. He was born in Baghdad, but he was a student of Persian musicians, which had a great Indian influence. Islamic architecture was a direct result of the development of geometry. The architectural splendor of Islamic mosques became known throughout Europe as the number of Muslim-conquered cities incremented. Elements such as complex geometric patterns, the horseshoe arch, and spherical domes became signature of the Islamic design of mosques. One of the most ornate structures in Europe at the time was the Great Mosque in Córdoba, Spain. The extreme attention to detail along with running water implies the use of advanced engineering. The magnificent artistry that was implemented in mosques not only in Europe, but also around the world, eventually became influential in the construction of Gothic Catholic cathedrals and churches.
Answer is, Italian Renaissance art represented Islam as it came to be crystallized in the minds of Christian Europeans for hundreds of years. Wise men, here on the right, are waiting for the results of the astronomical calculations of the younger man. Now, let's just see if that works out. Certainly we have three characters here, and these three characters are an aged man, a middle-aged man, and a young man. These three men are actually three famous astronomers who adorn the title page to Galileo's treatise printed in the early 17th century. We're showing these dialogues of great astronomers, stylized then as three wise men. Not that the Bible says that there were three of them, but because Matthew said that they brought gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. In the Getty collection in California, emphasizes again what we have just said. The Magi, by the end of the 15th century, appear, one as an old European king, the second, the middle-aged man, as a Muslim, rendering tribute to the Christ child, while the third is the young African convert. And all three gaze intently at the Christ child.
We will look at the rise and fall of the Mongols next. The Mongols burned Baghdad to the ground and conquered much of the Middle East during 1200. The ideas and achievements of the Abbasid lived on, but Islamic power declined overall. Subsequently, the Islamic Empire became fragmented. The Sunni-Shiite split provided an ongoing internal religious divide, and internal conflicts eventually led to the fall of the empire. The remaining power was divided amongst mostly the Ottomans, the Safavid, and the Mongols. With the discovery of a sea trade route that circumnavigated Africa, as well as trade with the New World, trade routes through the empire became rendered as useless. As a result, this created a large economic instability. The final contribution to the fall of this great empire is a failure to industrialize due to external and internal factors. In 1837, the Ottomans lost control of Greece as a result of the war for Greek independence. When the Tsar from Russia visited London in 1844, he referred to Turkey, or the Ottomans, as the sick man of Europe because of their declining power. His aim was to divide the land amongst the European states. Later, in 1914, the Ottomans allied with Germany during World War I. Their allies promised Arab independence, but instead took over. Upon the end of the war, the Ottoman Empire was dismembered. This marked the beginning of many internal conflicts that have plagued the Middle East ever since.